We're hitting 7 stations, and every single one of them have their own personality, their own choices, and some of their own urban planning love language. And then some need some help. Today we're taking the blue line from the eastern end in Rowlett all the way to SMU Mockingbird Station. Walking each stop, seeing what's around, and asking one simple question. Does any of this actually work? I'm Adam. This is 15 Minute Dallas. Let's get into it. All right, so here's the setup. Me and my son hit a good chunk of stops on the blue line from Rowlett to Mockingbird. Hopping off at each station, walking around for 20 to 30 minutes, seeing what's around, and even grabbing lunch along the way. We weren't looking for fancy urbanism, just the basics. Can you walk anywhere? Can you live comfortably? Can you get groceries without reenacting a Frogger? Is it safe? Some stops did great. Others, well, they existed, and we'll talk about those. All right, starting off at the Rowlett station where the blue line begins, and immediately you feel the city actually wanted transit to work. The station is spotless, calm, landscaped, the kind of place you wouldn't mind taking a photo at. It is, of course, a large park and ride, so the parking lot is sprawling. The walk towards downtown, though, is short and pleasant. There's construction happening, renovations, little signs of energy all around. But right around the station, you get a collection of auto shops, more light industrial buildings. Not exactly grab a latte before the train vibe. But when you reach Rowlett Station Apartments, the TOD or transit-oriented development centerpiece for this area, it's mid-rise, modern, clean lines, great amenities, balconies that look right over downtown Rowlett, and even you can see all the way out to downtown Dallas from some of the balconies. It feels urban without trying too hard, and it's easily close enough to walk to the train every morning. And yet, no grocery store in walking distance, no walkable ice cream place, no coffee shop built into the ground floor of the apartments. It's like someone started making the perfect TOD sundae and forgot the toppings. But overall, Rowlett is safe, clean, friendly, and extremely livable. Exactly the opposite of the transit will ruin the suburbs myth that you hear really often. At the end of the day, Rowlett gets you connected. It just needs a few more reasons to stay on foot once you step off the platform. Back to the station in Rowlett, we only have a few minutes to wait for the next train, and we jump on and head towards Garland. And you're only on the train for about 7 minutes before arriving at the Garland station. This stop surprised me, and in a good way. Step off the train and you're already basically in downtown Garland. No navigating 6-lane roads, no dodging freeway ramps. You're just there. The square feels like it was built for people, not vehicles. It is a old-time brick storefront square. It has a public plaza. They were decorating it for Christmas as we were doing this journey. There was wide sidewalks, all the right ingredients. And then you look closer and see that a lot of the prime storefronts underneath some of the apartments are occupied by things like banks, insurance companies, and other offices. They're important, sure, but walkable friendly, not exactly. When I think walkable friendly, I'm thinking coffee shops, small grocery stores, ice cream place, little things that people want to get out of their apartments and walk to. Still, I've been to events in downtown Garland, and this place absolutely comes alive when people show up. And my son picked this as his favorite stop of the whole day, and honestly, I get it. It's human scaled, it's connected, and it has the bones to be something great. If the city leans into small businesses more instead of corporate placeholders. The bus hub is also right outside the station. Perfect. This is what suburban transit nodes could look like, should look like, and in Garland, they do look like. Back to the station and on to the next stop. All right, this one is tough. The Forest Jupiter stop is the moment where you get off the train and the city just quietly says, you didn't really want to walk anywhere, did you? It's a massive park and ride, so you have a massive parking lot. Wide, fast roads. Both Forest and Jupiter are big, busy roads. There are a couple of shops across Forest Lane, and it feels like boss level crossing. No real apartments in eye shot, although there are some out there if you're willing to make that walk. But definitely nothing that says, come hang out here. It's transit infrastructure in search of a place. And while the 20-minute headways aren't awful, standing on a platform with nowhere to go makes them feel more like 40. And I'd forgive them if the large park and ride parking lot was full of commuters, parking and riding, but it's just not. The good news is if they want to grow an area around transit, this could be a really great candidate. It's worth remembering that rail really works best with places around it worth walking to. Here, the train arrived, but the land use never really showed up. Okay, on to the next one. This station is called LBJ Skillman. LBJ is Highway 635 in Dallas. It's almost a ring road, and it's named that for a reason. Here you step off, and 635 is right there, roaring like a concrete ocean. On the other side, industrial uses, some scattered apartment complexes that seem to be socially distancing from each other. There's a pedestrian bridge over the freeway, which is great until you realize it drops you off near almost nothing. There are, again, more apartments over there, and I did see people walking from the apartments towards the station, but there's not really much walkable shops. Again, grocery store, small convenience store, nothing that we could see that was easily hit in a 15-minute walk or so. Another one that we didn't stay long at, there just wasn't anything worth walking to. But something important did happen at this stop on our journey. The trains were getting fuller. The stations were getting busier. We were solidly in Dallas now, and even with more riders, the train stayed clean and felt safe the entire time. It's not that freeway-adjacent stations can't work, but this one would need a full neighborhood redesign to really start shining. Okay, back on the train and excited for the next stop. If earlier stations tested our patience, Walnut Hill immediately rewards it. Housing everywhere, mid-rise, low-rise, modern, older, you name it. A creekside trail that slips underneath Walnut Hill, giving you an almost peaceful route to the nearby shops, and best of all, a grocery store within reach. Sprouts sits right here, exactly where you'd want it to be. The trail definitely surprised me the most. It's shaded, it's quiet, except for the passing cars above on Walnut Hill, but it connects to neighborhoods in the way that feels intentional. We walked over to the trail, down and underneath Walnut Hill, and then back up towards the cluster of restaurants and shops, and stopped off for lunch at Fish City Grill, a short, comfortable, fully walkable trip from the station. Fresh seafood, casual vibes, easygoing service, and the kind of place you genuinely don't need a car to reach. This is what a transit station should unlock: a real neighborhood experience, housing, places to eat, trails, grocery options, all within a few minutes on foot. If every Blue Line stop was half as good as Walnut Hill, the entire Dallas transit system would be an entirely different story. After lunch, we headed back to the station with full stomachs, ready for the next stop. White Rock Station feels like a gateway, not to shops or dense housing, but to one of Dallas's best natural assets, White Rock Lake and Flagpole Hill Park. And that park isn't a tiny park. It's 107 acres of green space developed back in 1929, complete with a historic pavilion built by Civilian Conservation Corps. And the city has continued investing in it. New trails, upgraded parking, a huge playground added in 2018, and improved connections to the broader White Rock Creek and White Rock Lake trail areas. We took the path behind the station, crossed over a small connecting road, and within minutes, we were on the trail headed towards Flagpole Hill. Cyclists were everywhere, not so much commuting, just enjoying the ride. And honestly, the trails here encourage it. But step away from the trail and everything shifts back to low density, single family homes. There's one apartment complex that lives behind the station, and then nothing but spread out houses. No coffee shops, no small cafes, no quick grocery spots, and definitely no desire to walk along Northwest Highway unless you're doing a social experiment. This station is incredible if you're here for nature, but if you want the car light lifestyle, there's only so far a trail system can take you. And again, most people were using this for recreation, not transit. We definitely walked off our lunch here, but back to the station and towards our last stop. This is the finish line for us. I've already made a video on this stop at Mockingbird Station while filming a video for the Orange Line. Mockingbird is dense, active, and alive in a way that feels completely different from the earlier stops, even Walnut Hill. Shops, restaurants, apartments, offices, and a movie theater, it's all here. You can definitely live car light here without fighting the entire environment around you. It's not perfect though. It's an expensive area. Being near SMU and closer to downtown Dallas will do that. Most of the apartments here are one bedroom, so there's not a whole lot of space for families. And there's no grocery or convenience store within easy walking range. You could walk to Kroger down Mockingbird, but it's a bit of a haul getting over there, and you're on the side of Mockingbird the whole time, which again is a huge and busy road. So you could live here without driving often, but not without driving ever. Crossing Mockingbird is also unpleasant, to put it mildly. But overall, this TOD is one of DART's best successes. It proves that transit-oriented development isn't a fantasy. It just requires commitment. Mockingbird is the blueprint, not the dream, the baseline for what Dallas should expect from every station. All right, so as we rode back to the Rowlett station, everything comes into focus as we sit and think about it. Rowlett and Garland both work because they're close to their downtowns. They're in walkable areas. They connect you to actual places. And despite everything, you can tell that these cities are actually actively trying. Forest Jupiter and LBJ Skillman, they don't work well because the land use around them aren't even really trying. Of course, we did see plenty of people using these stations. They're getting dropped off by buses or other means. But if they had half the urbanism of Walnut Hill or Mockingbird Station, it would really transform the area. And of course, the Walnut Hill and Mockingbird stations, they provide what's possible when a station is surrounded by housing, shops, businesses, and trails instead of just empty parking lots or freeway ramps. It really makes me contemplate Plano and other cities now trying to push back on DART. There are some Plano leaders who are currently debating whether to leave DART. In 2023, there was a study that said Plano is contributing about $109 million to DART, while only seeing $44 million spent directly in the city. And their argument is, why should we pay more than what we get? Which is a very short-sighted argument. I might make a whole nother video on this, But here's sort of what they're getting wrong about mass transit. Transit is a network, not a vending machine. You don't get to grow into a regional powerhouse by cutting yourself off from the system that connects you to the entire metro area. And you have to actually try to make places around the stations actual places people want to be. Rowlett gets that. Garland gets that. Walnut Hill and Mockingbird Station thrived because of that. Plano benefited from TOD when it was first implemented, but we're decades away from that, and the city leaders have forgotten about it, and they try to pander to those who never have ridden DART and probably never would. So some of my final thoughts there. Transit isn't failing in Dallas, but I think some of the land use around our stations is failing. The Blue Line shows this, but also shows what's great about connecting suburban cities with the core of Dallas. And now with the Silver Line opening, you can reach even more places than ever. And instead of pulling out, we should really be investing even more at this point. My next video will probably be Silver Line. I want to ride the Silver Line and see how the stations are around that. I know they're still building a lot of them right now, but really we're checking out everything that the Silver Line offers. I also want to dive into more of Uptown, McKinney, the M-Line trolley. So if you're interested in any of those, leave me a comment below and I'll get those scheduled as soon as I can. With that, again, I'm Adam. Thanks for watching. This has been 15 Minute Dallas.